Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Power Podcast All-Star live stream series. I am your co-host / moderator, Brother Bedford, and we want to thank you all for joining us this Saturday evening. There's a lot of things that you possibly could be doing, but you've elected to share with us your most valuable asset, and that is your time. So we greatly appreciate that, and we want to do our best to make sure that we give you value in exchange for your time. From all of the reports that we've been getting, I think we've been doing a pretty good job of providing value because everyone has been completely satisfied with the lineup, the knowledge, the wisdom, the resources, the education, the training, the motivation, the inspiration. We've just been having a phenomenal time over these few weeks as we've been on this or this quarantine, this shelter in place, all of these different terms that we use, but we said use this as a period of incubation. Use this as a period to take the knowledge, to take the wisdom that you're getting, and hopefully as we come up out of this thing, because we will come up out of it, as we come up out of it, you'll be in a better position, you'll be smarter, you'll be wiser, and you'll be equipped with the tools and the resources to take your life, your family's life, and your business to the next level. So with that said, let's get ready to get into tonight. I need you to do a couple things for me before I turn it over into the hands of our host, Dr. George C. Fraser. So first, I need you to follow this page. If you're on George Fraser's fan page, I need you to love it, and I need you to follow the page. That way you'll get all of the notifications that Dr. Fraser shares with us, not just the upcoming podcast, but he's always sharing with us pearls of wisdom on a daily basis that we can incorporate in our lives. So we need you to do that. You'll also get notifications if you go to www.newblackpower.com. That's www.newblackpower.com. Give us your name and email, and when you do that, that'll give me permission to keep you updated on all of the live streams that we have coming up, and we still have some powerhouses coming before you. So I want to be able to do that. Make sure you confirm though. When you enter your name and email, you'll receive a reply email from us. And a lot of times that can go into your spam folder. So make sure you check your spam folder and then click that confirmation link, and then we'll be able to send you those updates. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to Fraser Nation channel. Make sure you do that because we want to make sure we grow the population on YouTube as well. So make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, and that's Fraser Nation is the title of the YouTube channel. And the last thing that I need you to do before we get ready to turn it over to Dr. Fraser is share. I need you to go ahead and share this on your page, in the groups, invite your family and friends, especially those individuals who have businesses. And right now it is a stressful time. Right now they're under duress. A lot of us are doing things or trying to pivot and make decisions, and we're not quite sure how to do that. Tonight is the night where we help you to ease that tension, ease that stress. Tonight is the night for that. So if you have a business and you're operating up under stress and duress, we got the solution for you tonight. So go ahead and call your friends that you know that have businesses and they're having a trying time right now, and they can get a chance to get their questions answered. Tonight is the night with Ronald Williams and of course, Dr. George C. Fraser. So with that said, without further delay, I want to turn you over into the father of the networking conversation in the African-American community, the chairman of Fraser Net and Fraser Nation. He's also the founder of the Power Networking Conference. He's the best-selling author of 6 books on the subject of networking and building effective relationships. And he's also, as I've mentioned several times, and I'm going to keep saying this because I know we have the conversations about those in the Sports Hall of Fame. We have a Business Hall of Fame as well. And Dr. George C. Fraser is a Hall of Famer. So without further ado, we want to turn you over to Dr. George C. Fraser.
Good evening, Brother Bedford.
Good evening,
Good to be with you again.
Yes, sir.
Third time this week, third time's a charm. I don't know what the weather is like wherever you are in Atlanta.
Baking.
But it's a beautiful day here in Cleveland, Ohio. It's 72 degrees. And for the first time this year, I played golf. I've been playing golf for 50 years. I play golf. But I haven't played golf since early October of last year because I live in Cleveland. And right in October, you know, the snow begins. So we stopped playing golf, and I haven't hit a golf club in 6-7 months. So I was rusty, really rusty. Now, just for all of you out there who know anything about golf, I am a 2 handicap in golf. Now, technically speaking, that's a really good golfer. Except I have to explain my 2 handicap in all transparency. My first handicap is my golf swing. And my second handicap is I actually play golf. That's how I end up being a 2 handicapper. So it's a wonderful game. I just love being out in nature. But so I rushed back, did some homework to tee up this superstar of a guest we have tonight on our All-Star podcast. This is a brother from another mother. It's a brother like no other. I am proud to say that he is a new member of the Fraser Net team.
Yes.
So when we say that, right, that's a mic drop right there. He's a new member of the Fraser Net team. So you know he is thebomb.com and all that in a bag of chips. We have titled his talk tonight, and he is eminently qualified to talk about this. And it's titled Strategies, Processes, and Solutions for Black Businesses Under Duress. Now, we can't pick a better time. We couldn't pick a better time to talk about this because Black businesses at this moment in time, as we experience this pandemic, is under duress. We are under duress. There's no question about it. Many will not survive this. It just, of course, depends on how long it will go. But Ronald D. Williams is conscious. He's woke. He's brilliant. He's a thought leader. He's a visionary. Ron hangs with thought leaders and visionaries. Ron mentors potential thought leaders and visionaries. His work is a work of not only deep academic skills and technical skills that one must acquire and education, but it's one of love. I mean, he is also a race man, as Brother Bedford is a race man, as I am a race man. And I'm going to just take a moment to, because again, I'm not going to read the whole bio because I don't want to take up any more time than necessary, but I got to give you some basis from which you will more deeply understand who this brother is and what we're going to talk about tonight. So I'll try to do a dramatic read on it as best as I can. It's a full page in tiny type, but it's impressive. Ron Williams is the chairman of a portfolio of high growth and disruptive companies and the CEO of Global Business Evolution, BE. He is the trailblazer who foresaw the approaching explosion of big data analytics enhanced by artificial intelligence. He then created a dynamic business model to deliver real-time solutions in anticipation of the deluge of demand for data-driven solutions, products, and services. The common thread throughout the portfolio of companies is his data-centric platform. All the companies are powered by the BE, Business Evolution, data platforms. In his role as chairman, Ron's challenge is to develop a strategic approach to creating and dominating an emerging market and industry by structuring a unified go-to-market strategy and capability. He significantly increases each company's brand equity and brand recognition in an emerging industry where there are no established leaders. Simultaneously, he will lead the market through maturity by defining the market and leading the conversation towards substance versus hype. That's what you're going to hear tonight. By pursuing this strategy, Ron brings new and creative ways to evolve his messaging, branding, and delivery strategies and models, thereby accommodating early adapters as well as the majority customers as they figure out how they fit into the new data economy. As a self-defined theoretical technologist, Ron's extensive experience in the areas of cloud and managed services, outsourcing, CRM, ERP, these are all acronyms that some of you may know, and SCM systems, as well as discrete manufacturing, makes him uniquely qualified to lead executives in the big data area. But at the same time, he is a small business person. I could go on his list of education, his past job responsibilities when he was working for others. Now he fundamentally works for him and does the leadership of his company, former partner with KMPG. So he's just in high cotton, as old schools would say. He's in high cotton. So I want to bring to the podcast tonight our new partner at Fraser Net, one of the great thought leaders and visionaries in this space of business development, especially when it comes to data, because it's all going to, at the end of the day, brothers and sisters, you know, I know you've been reading, it's all going to come down to data, and how you manipulate it, how you manage it, how you collect it, how you leverage it, how you use it for branding. And right now, we're going to have in front of us one of the best minds on the planet in this space. Ron Williams, welcome.
Thank you, sir. It's good to be here.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I just want to start with a simple question on COVID-19, because you've done some fascinating things during COVID-19. What are Black people learning, Ron, and what, from your perspective, are we missing?
We are learning the same lesson that many entrepreneurs from the majority community have learned through these crises. We are learning that there is opportunity. There is immediate opportunity, there's long-term opportunity, and then there are the opportunities that were already there, we didn't see, that are now uncovered and are ready to be exploited. We as a community are finding out that we actually have the resources, the understanding, the network, and the capability to execute. We simply have to be able to recognize the opportunity, understand what's required to execute, and then to begin the process. What we are missing is each other. See, we think we got to do it ourselves. We think it's the Ron show, but it's not. We need to partner up. We need to leverage our network. We need to leverage our community experience to be able to actually move very quickly and in an agile way towards success. And as we do that, we learn the things that we need to know along the way, and we accomplish tremendously more than we thought possible, and we begin to actually reap what we sow.
Got you. Which brings me to this question. Why are Black businesses more susceptible to finding themselves in stressful situations? Unpack that for a bit.
Yeah. The real question is, are there any Black businesses that are not in stressful situations, even without COVID-19?
Right.
If 90% of all businesses fail in 5 years, 100% of all Black businesses fail in 2.5 years.
Yeah.
We are under duress for a variety of systemic and chronic issues, which I don't want to deal with because it takes time and a great deal of effort to change that. I want to focus on what we can do and what we can change. So part of the reasons why we are under duress and in distress so often is because we don't have a clear understanding of what business we're actually in.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have a clear understanding of what we're actually trying to accomplish. Not what we feel like we want to do, not what we think we ought to do, not what the market is telling us, but how do you actually make money? How do you actually build a brand? And how do you actually begin to leverage what you intuitively know as a group or a partnership with what needs to be done? When we start to do that from day one, we begin to reduce our stress levels. We begin to reduce the risk profile that we have, both from a credit perspective, from a cash flow perspective, and from an exposure perspective, meaning our families and our lifestyle and our livelihoods are exposed when you're in small business or when you're an entrepreneur. And a lot of us can't get past that risk and profile. We cannot get past that exposure. As a matter of fact, the fear factor for a young, Black, educated, college-educated man or woman is astronomical when you ask them about going into business. You know why? Because they're afraid of what they're going to lose. Even when they don't have anything, they're still afraid of what they're going to lose. And it's that fear that prevents us from being able to truly come together and leverage our experience, our history, our resources, and our assets to create great business opportunities.
So most of us are operating in what I call a scarcity mentality versus an abundance mentality.
That's correct.
It's two entirely different mindsets. How can Black businesses avoid finding themselves in situations that are prone to creating duress?
You know, I was raised in an environment with lots of entrepreneurs. On my father's side of the family, everyone was an entrepreneur. We had people who owned phone companies, who owned liquor stores, who owned grocery stores, who owned taxi companies, who owned shoe stores. I grew up from the time I was about 9 years old in an environment where everybody made their own money and they provided jobs. So I never grew up trying to find a job or thinking about who is going to give me a job. We really need to understand what it is we want to be able to bring to the community, what we want our legacy to be, what we want to be able to understand about our experience here. So what is our position in history? And what are we doing to either preserve that position or grow that position? Because no matter what you do, as Malcolm X said, every man will leave a legacy. And it's our effort to work together and to bring about the kind of change that we want in our lives and in our community that give us focus, it gives us purpose, and it gives us a sense of why we should act as one. You know, right now, we really don't have a sense of why we should act as one. And without that sense of purpose, many of us as individuals can't really define ourselves. When you can't define yourselves, you become susceptible to anybody's definition of who you are.
Yeah.
And what you are. So when you look at businesses and our success in businesses, well, you really have to look at our failure in businesses. Because if you go back to the early 1900s, when there were about 65 Black Wall Streets in America, 65 different communities of successful Black entrepreneurship, driving business, driving revenue, self-sustaining their community. And you look at us today, post-civil rights movement, there are zero. Something happened in the civil rights movement that actually derailed us. If you look at Madam C.J. Walker and what she did as not only the first Black female millionaire, she was the first Black female millionaire in America. and look at the time that she came about around the turn of the century.
Right.
And yet today, with all the resources we have, with all the jobs and education that we have, we can't seem to find a way to exploit the $1 trillion in disposable income that we produce buying Jordans and other products that deliver no value, that have no asset to them. We can't find a way to build our own organizations and create our own jobs. We have $1 trillion at our disposal, yet we can't find a way to create a job. How is that possible? The only way that's possible is that we don't understand who we are. We have no sense of purpose. We have no sense of direction, and we really have no common purpose. So business can be that. Business can be all of that. It can be a common sense of direction, a common sense of purpose. It can be the reason why we put our pettiness aside and say, listen, there's enough between us to make this plumbing business work. Let's do that. We can provide 6 to 10 jobs if you and I will come together and do this plumbing business in our own community and get contracts. So I see small business and entrepreneurship as a way for us to be able to come together and to build a base for our community that allows us to not only move forward economically, but culturally, politically, and socially. That's what's at stake right now.
Yeah. What have we learned from successful Black entrepreneurs in the past? What do you think are the big lessons that has come out of that? And why are we not modeling it?
Yes.
Why are we not replicating it?
Well, we learned that we can build our own businesses. We can run our own businesses. We can run them successfully. So successfully that the majority community becomes jealous and needs to take us out. That's
Right.
how good we can be. We've also learned that it doesn't take a lot of money. It doesn't take a lot of laws to change. It doesn't take a lot of somebody else doing something for us to do for ourselves. We can do this on our own. We can do this in our own neighborhoods. To be honest with you, we don't even have to get a bank loan
Right.
to start our own business. Those businesses taught us that we can do this in America under far, far worse conditions than we have today, if we want to.
Right.
But it takes people like you, Dr. Fraser, and what you've been doing for 35, 40 years to help people understand how it's possible. We know that it's possible. History tells us that. But how is the other issue. And that's what you bring to the table.
Mm-hmm. 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 From your vantage point, what are the early signs of a business that is headed south?
Yeah. You know, when you start a business and you're undercapitalized, that's the first sign that you're going to fail. When you start a business and you're not sure what business you're actually in. Let me give you an example of what I mean by that. So let's say you are an accountant. You're a CPA, you're certified, and you want to go into business for yourself. You've been working for PricewaterhouseCoopers for 5 years, and now you want to start your own accounting practice. Now, when you were with PricewaterhouseCoopers, you had an opportunity to see a wide variety of types of companies. Yes, you were always doing accounting, but you could always see other types of businesses and how they run. That's the point of consulting. And that's the point of being exposed to a variety of types of businesses so that you can broaden your understanding. So you may have an accounting skill. It does not mean you have to become an accountant and own an accounting firm. It may be you take your accounting skill and find a way to apply that in a manner that delivers faster, bigger, and better revenue than actually being an accountant. So you really have to decide what business do you really want to be in. And let's say you do become an accountant and open an accounting practice of your own. Once you get into that practice and you start looking at other people's businesses, you might decide that, you know what, I want to use accounting as a way of investing in some of my customers' businesses. And really what you become is a equity investor using accounting as a way to learn how solid and strong the business is. So if you don't shift your thinking, you never really have an opportunity to understand what business you could be in or should be in or are in. When I was a consultant at KPMG, I was shocked at the number of businesses I go into, big businesses, multi-billion-dollar businesses, where the executives did not know what business they were in, meaning they did not know how they made money, they didn't know how they made the most money, and they didn't know how they made the best money.
Yeah.
If you can't, you must know that as an entrepreneur. You must know that, otherwise you can't capitalize on it. That's what's happening right now in the pandemic. Entrepreneurs have figured out, I may have been a hairdresser, but if I can get my hands on some PPE, guess what? I'm selling it.
Yeah, 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 yeah. A while back, we met for 2 days in my offices with our A team. And the first question out of the box that you pointed to me and asked me was, Dr. Fraser, what business are you in? Of course, being an elder, having been in business for 34 years, I actually thought I knew the answer. I basically said, I'm in the education and training business. When I started taking inventory of the WINS Wealth Building Centers, the Power Networking Conference, which focuses on business and wealth training and all of that kind of stuff. And so that was my answer. I was pretty sort of cocksure that was the answer. And you were so gracious, and you smiled so gently and so nicely and said, I don't know if that's the primary business that you're in, Dr. Fraser. Now, obviously, you had done a deep dive on the business, and you may have known more about my business than me, right? And maybe I'm too close to the business to really know. Or maybe as I said to you once before, I might have needed an out-of-body experience, to look back at me to figure out. But you said, I think that you are in the Black excellence business. Now, you can testify that my response to you was sort of, wow, I never thought of that. I never characterized it that way. When others asked me, I gave them the same answer I gave you. But that's really what it is. That's far more inclusive, far more powerful. It takes this complicated explanation and puts it into a profound, short sentence of 2 words, Black excellence. That shifted my whole paradigm about this business I've been in personally for nearly 40 years. It's asking that question. Do you really know what business you're in? You riffed on it a little bit more, but I'd like for you to unpack that a little bit more, because that was a profound moment for me.
Yeah.
And it shifted my whole thinking.
Yeah. Well, that's a question I ask almost every business owner and every business leader that I meet, because it happened to me when I was 21 years old. And I won a sales contest, and I had a chance to get in front of Ray Kroc. I was one of 9 20-year-olds in front of Ray Kroc, interviewing him to find out how he became successful in business. And he says, "What business am I in?" And I threw my hand up as fast as I could, and I stood up and says, "Mr. Kroc, you're in the hamburger business. You own McDonald's." And he says, "No, I'm not in the hamburger business. I'm in the real estate business. I use hamburgers to acquire the real estate at key intersections around the world. And it's the value of the real estate that allows me to have the net worth and the position that I want in history."
Yeah.
And that's when I learned what this whole dynamic is about what things are perceived as opposed to what they really are. And you have to know, you as the entrepreneur, as the small business person, you got to be clear about this. And I challenge these leaders and I challenge these entrepreneurs to really think about what business they're in. Because once you are crystal clear on that, it changes, like you said, it changes the paradigm. It changes how you see your resources. It changes how you see what is your vision, what needs to be accomplished. And when you have that under control, my God, there are very few things you can control in life, very few things. But this is one of those things that if you master the business you're in, you get the privilege of being able to align all the things that are necessary to create the vision of that new understanding. You know, in Ifa, we say you must have alignment between your heart and your head before you can have alignment between yourself and the universe. And it is that alignment that brings everything into focus. It allows all the energy and all the things and the resource to come together for you. You don't bring it together, it does it on its own.
Right.
It's the same thing for you. When you have that alignment of understanding, the things come together, the people come together.
Yeah. Yeah. They feel it. That's right. I've heard you ask this wonderful but simple question. Are you a small business person or are you an entrepreneur? The difference matters, right? The difference matters. Unpack that.
Yes, it does. If you are a small business person, you are really an employee on steroids. What you really want to do is what you know best, whatever that skill or experience is, you want to do that, but you have a desire or you've been forced to do it on your own. And in that situation, what you're looking for is to establish security. You're looking to establish a level of compassion for the customers that you deal with and the environment that you're trying to create. And there's not much more to it than that. You're very happy if you have 25 customers. It's called a lifestyle business. Many small business people are in lifestyle businesses. They make enough to feed themselves and to be comfortable, and they make enough to ensure that their employees, if they have employees, are well taken care of. And they're not interested in taking over the world. They're not interested in changing the world. They're not interested in being the number one. They simply want to be good at what they do, provide a service or product. That is a small business person. That is not an entrepreneur. Most entrepreneurs are serial entrepreneurs. They can't help themselves. What they want to do is they want to start something new. They want the excitement and the rush of being the first. They have dollar signs in their head, but more than the dollar sign is they want to be recognized in history as having created something. They want to be recognized in their community and with their peers as having been the first. And they want the ability to help people understand what it is they've discovered or created. And that is their huge play, which is why once they do it once, they make a huge mistake and they make a series of mistakes, and they do it again and they make fewer mistakes. They do it again and they make fewer mistakes. And pretty soon they get really good at doing this, and everything they touch becomes a $1 billion idea. They're pushing out $1 billion ideas, and they're not even running the businesses. They're turning them over to other people. They just want to go create. That is an entrepreneur. And if you know that you are an entrepreneur, you need to be honest with yourself and be true to that entrepreneurial spirit. If you are not, stop faking it, because you're going to hurt yourself. The entrepreneurship game is for gladiators. You know, you do not want to, you don't want to get in the ring with gladiators and you're not prepared.
No.
You're not trained. You're not conditioned. You're not mentally and emotionally and spiritually ready to die today. Because it can happen at any time. In the entrepreneurial arena, they can cut your legs off and your head off at the same time.
Right. Right. That's right.
Right? And if you're not prepared to get up and sew them back on and keep on going, you're in the wrong game.
That's so true.
That was a visual, wasn't it, George?
Oh my God. That is so true.
But yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what, Doctor, I'm 61 years old, and and I was raised with entrepreneurs, and I'm just now in the last 10 years really experiencing what I just said, really understanding what my passion is and what my joy is. I got a partner, Dr. Reuben Cockrell, who just turned 40 years old.
Right.
The coolest guy you ever want to know, the brilliant PhD and a master at 3 or 4 different things. And he is now my best friend, excuse me. And I learn from this guy every day, but together, man, there's nothing we can't do. We are killing it. We are killing it right now today.
Yeah, right now today, even in the COVID-19 environment, you're doing you and Ruben are doing some massive things in COVID. Just unpack that a little bit to let people know what you're doing, how you pivoted and taken this pandemic and what people see as, oh my God, how am I going to survive into something, into outer space? Talk about that.
Well, Dr. Cockrell, his great gift and his great skill is he is a master at building relationships. But it goes much further than building relationships. He's able to connect strategic dots way beyond the relationship. So he's a master chess player while everybody else is playing checkers. Okay, and he's building these connections, he's building this understanding, and he's constantly looking at how to make connections how do you monetize them? And because of that, and you put my skills with his skills, the first thing we started doing was looking at how do we get to use what we already have, which is my technology platform, artificial intelligence and data analytics, to apply to the area where we know there's the biggest weakness and gap in the government, state government and federal government, and that is tracking and understanding how money is being spent. They always screw it up. They never get it right. They get the right money to the wrong person at the wrong time, and all the other combinations. So we worked to join the governor's task force to become a part of that process. Then we used other relationships that Dr. Cockrell had to kind of backdoor the governor's task force and the stimulus money. And there was another strategy that we had in place around grants, and we saw the opportunity to take advantage of the government's feeling of inadequacy. So right now, there are probably about 50 to 75 grants out there around COVID-19. There have been so many mistakes made. The government is trying to show that they are going to cover themselves and not make these same mistakes twice. So they have there must be, I don't know, $100 million, $300 million in grants. So we have put together a staff of 6 people, and we're doing nothing in that group but applying for COVID-19 grants around analytics and AI. The first one we did, we had 5-day turnaround. It was $40 million. We applied for it 2 weeks ago. They're going to announce on June 4th. Now we have to pull together a group. Now out of that group, our play is $10 million over a 3-year period of time. That's not bad for you realizing there's an opportunity in a moment of distress. You know, for the first time, the business community, the majority business community, feels the pressure that the Black businesses have always felt. They feel under duress. They feel stressed. And since we're accustomed to operating under those conditions, this is normal for us. We're just looking for the gaps. And we're filling the gaps. PPE, we are working with some amazing partners to make PPE available. And we've got brothers who are manufacturing. They have manufacturing facilities here in the US for PPE. And we're working with them to get that product to FEMA, to get that product to the states that need it and to the hospitals that need it. We even put a plan together called a Disaster Recovery General Purchasing Organization, which is this. It's a $1 trillion bet that the government will outsource all the requirements for ventilators, respirators, and PPE to a third-party private source, meaning us, over the next 50 years to ensure they never get caught again without the proper PPE and equipment in the right geographic locations to ensure that this does not happen again.
Right.
So there's some immediate things that we're doing that will turn in a profit immediately. There's some intermediate things that we're doing with partners who can manufacture and build networks of equipment. And then there's some long-term things that we're doing to hopefully be a part of a network that ensures that there is a $1 trillion payout to make sure we have the infrastructure in place and that we have the equipment in place, because this will happen again.
Yeah. Yeah, Ron, that's so important. I've said on so many platforms to our people that Black people are not lacking opportunity. There is unlimited opportunity.
Yes.
What we're lacking is capacity.
Yes.
The 21st century for us must be about building our capacity to take advantage of the unlimited opportunities in business. As you well know, there's this thing called churn. People are buying and selling businesses all the time. You don't have to start a business from scratch.
That's right.
Right? You can own 50 McDonald's if you want to, or 50 Burger Kings, right? You don't have to start a business from scratch, but you have to have the capacity to do these things. Some of that is economic capacity.
Yes.
So you got to, put your pennies together, to develop partnerships, strategic alliances, joint ventures, and as you said right up top, do things together. How can Black businesses become recession-proof? I mean, you guys, you're bulletproof and recession-proof. How can Black businesses become recession-proof?
Okay. There's actually 3 ways. One way is to start a business or buy a business or grow a business that thrives during a recession for its primary source of revenue and has secondary and tertiary sources of revenue that are made when you're not in a recession. Or combine businesses so that they become lines of business under a holding company. So I could have a reinsurance business. Reinsurance businesses do very well in a recession, very well.
Mm-hmm.
I could have that line of business along with an accounting firm, a plumbing business, a COVID-19 testing business. I can combine business disciplines into an organization that allows me to thrive under certain conditions. And I can offset those conditions when I am not thriving in a particular line of business. So if you look at one of my businesses, I have a business that does nothing but clinical trial automation. We automate and streamline the process for clinical trials. Now think about that. And what is the federal government trying to do now? They're trying to get clinical trials done as fast as possible. They're not streamlining. They have circumvented the entire process. They have dropped every requirement that CMS has for, and the FDA has for clinical trials, and they're just trying to get a solution in place as fast as possible, a vaccine. So what we have right now is a process that allows them to take all of the points of friction, remove them, have a streamlined capability, and to be able to see into that capability in real time. Now, that is being offered up as we speak to the federal government and to states, because everyone is now in this big push to get this vaccine and several types of vaccines. So all I'm saying is that if you believe that there is an opportunity when the government and the society and the community is under distress, think about what you can do to provide a service that is valued during that time. And when you do that, you will find that there are other associated activities and services that you can apply when you're not in distress. And in that process, what you build is this hybrid organization that gives you growth and gives you the ability to thrive when the economy is thriving and when you're in recession. And you'll find that in several businesses that exist today. For instance, the insurance business. Now, people think that the insurance business is hurting when they have to pay out large amounts of claims, but they're not. The insurance business has reinsurance,
right?
And the reinsurance covers the claims, and the insurance is now thriving because they're selling even more business when the government is under duress. It's an amazing model, but you got to know what business you're really in. For that to work, you got to know what business you're really in.
Yeah.
And you'll be surprised at how many businesses. I'll give you an example. As an individual, in 2008, when the economy tanked, because I had cash, I went out and I bought gold. And I bought gold for about $495 an ounce.
Mm.
When the economy came back, I sold it for $1,700 an ounce. I bought American Airlines, IBM, and other blue chip stocks for pennies on the dollar because I had cash or credit, and then I sold them at top dollar. That's how an individual needs to do what, as an example for what a business needs to do. A business needs to be agile enough. It needs to be fluid enough. It needs to be awake enough to be able to move quickly to take advantage of opportunities as they present themselves. You see, a recession is not a bad thing. It's a bad thing if you're a wage earner. If you're a wage earner, recession is a bad thing. But if you're a job provider, recession can be a very good thing.
Right. Cryptocurrency and blockchain.
Yes.
Your thoughts on that? I now have very heightened interest in cryptocurrency. I'm going to make a move. What are your thoughts on that?
Cryptocurrency is a very volatile environment. It changes very, very rapidly. I believe that it's not going to go away. I believe that it's here to stay. And I believe that countries and businesses are going to have to get into cryptocurrency. But when they do, they're going to change the dynamic. Because what makes cryptocurrency really valuable today is that it's almost unregulated. It's not treated like regular currency. So therefore, you can do some things with it that allow you a great deal of flexibility in being able to profit. And blockchain is a technology that simply tracks your ability to understand the transactions that were taking place. Excuse me. And in that process, you get legitimacy. So blockchain is the technology that brings legitimacy to cybercurrency. And blockchain is a wonderful, wonderful tracking mechanism that has not been adulterated by regulation. Now, as countries and governments get into cybercurrency, they will adulterate blockchain because they need to in order to have control over it. You see, blockchain is the equivalent of a third party, a third disinterested party. It doesn't care. It just is what it is. And that's not how governments play. That's not how countries play. They play, I want my perspective first, and I want my position first. And they will adjust blockchain to ensure that they get an advantage. As you well know, the entire economy is based on whose advantage is it to be and do. And right now, blockchain says nobody has an advantage. Everybody's equal. It's an equal playing field. Here are the rules. Everybody can do what they want to do with cybercurrency. And that's a beautiful thing. That is a free economy. And that will not last. It cannot stand.
Right.
Yeah, it cannot stand. But it, in its current form, it will still be around because you'll see big companies are issuing their own cybercurrency.
China's getting ready to issue its own.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, it's going to be around, but it's going to be
getting ready to issue its own.
That's correct. Yes, yes. So it's going to be around, but it's not going to be the Wild Wild West the way it has been. But there's some things. If you can find the right currency to invest in, and invest at a low point in that volatile up and down exchange that takes place, there are billions of dollars to be made. The only problem is that you cannot convert your cyber currency earnings into hard dollars. When you do, that's when the IRS steps in and brings reality in, and they tax you. Because today, yes, it's not taxed. You can make $1 billion in cyber currency and pay no tax.
Until you spend, you can spend it in limited places now, but once you convert it, you're taxed on it.
That's correct. Now, if you spend it in businesses that accept 100% cyber currency, there's no tax.
Amazon accepts
Yes,
certain cyber currencies. Yeah.
currencies.
Okay.
Yes.
That's interesting. It's a little off the subject,
Yeah.
but you have such a
It's coming.
big brain and a visionary around this stuff. I just wanted
Yeah.
your take on it. Is it possible for 80% of Black businesses to avoid eventual failure? What would be the scenario there?
Absolutely, it is. It is possible, but the Black businesses can't be Black businesses. They have to be good, sound businesses, period, who happen to be run by Black people.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, that's the first thing. Because normally, I hate to say this, but normally when you think of Black businesses, you think of undercapitalized, under nurtured, meaning they don't have the network nor the support that they need to actually grow the business. And those businesses are also usually misunderstood. Either the community does not understand the business, or the person running the business does not understand the business. And unfortunately, we're usually in the wrong kind of business. So here's the top 5 businesses: restaurants, okay, nightclubs and bars, liquor stores, okay, retail, and sometimes we're in assembly, not manufacturing, but assembly. Yes.
2 different things. Right.
Yes. Yeah, very different. And those kind of businesses, very, very high risk, very, very low profit, and very, very tight margins in those businesses. We need to start thinking about businesses that have high margin, low risk, and can scale very easily.
For example, a couple types of businesses.
Okay, so if you take and these are not specialty businesses. So if you take a business like a data analytics business, okay, so technically you can start a data analytics business out of the box with no technology at all. You can resource your technology from Amazon and other locations, okay, and you can assemble a set of products that will be your solution that you don't even own. The Amazon, Microsoft, and other even open source tools that will be your platform. So it can cost you nothing to have a solution. All right. Now that is infinitely scalable. You're in for zero. It costs you nothing to get in. And now all you have to do is market. So what do? You have the idea. You go find Ron Williams and say, hey, let's partner. I know you're an expert at this. You be my partner. I got this. You got the skills and relationships. Let's do this.
Right.
Now you have a business that is timely. There's huge demand, right? You got a business that you can scale instantly on demand at no additional cost. You have a business that is already understood in the marketplace, and there's already a desire for that kind of solution. And you have a partner who brings the technical expertise and the history of the market to bear. Now we got a real business. Now, how come LeBron James is not talking to me about doing that? You know, how come Oprah is not talking to me about doing that, or talking to you, or talking to the other folks in the Fraser Nation who have expertise in areas where we can instantly go into business for almost no money down, maybe $500, maybe $5,000, maybe. All the money is spent on advertising and marketing, and we start growing a business, or we just buy a business like that that's scalable like that. But it's very scalable, very cheap. I don't even own the infrastructure. AWS owns the infrastructure.
Right. Wow. How can Black businesses grow beyond the owner's limitations?
You know, that is a tough question for the Black community.
Yeah.
Because,
well, be honest, be transparent. Tell us what you think.
Okay.
I know what you think, and
yeah.
We think a lot, but you know, speak the truth.
All right. So oftentimes we are ego-driven. The business is not about passion. It's not about service. It's not about even legacy. It's really about status. And when that's the case, whether you start out knowing that consciously or you have a little bit of success and then it becomes about your ego, right? Then there's no way for anybody to actually scale the business, expand the business, and truly build upon the business, because you won't let it outside your control. And I don't know how many times you have to understand this. If you look at Johnson & Johnson, at Ebony, that was the issue there. There's so many businesses that you look at that are Black businesses that you haven't heard about because they got stopped at the owner because he could not scale the business. There's a religious publishing company here in Nashville that has done very, very well for 100 years. But the father and the grandson will not let go of that business to let the granddaughter, who went to Spelman and has got all these ideas, grow the business. So they're stuck right where they are instead of being a national marketing, digital driven business that has been that's been in business for 100 years, that is totally Black owned and could be servicing so many Black businesses and broader majority businesses. But this is a problem that we've seen over and over and over again because we don't have the education and the understanding. You know, I think it was Carter G. Woodson who wrote The Miseducation of the Negro.
Yes.
And about college educated Black folk.
Yeah.
Okay, that's one kind of miseducation. Another kind of miseducation are the ones who are who were brought up by their bootstraps and who think they know everything because they did everything to get you to that point. Will not bend, will not compromise. And that is very problematic for us because there are a lot of great Black businesses that are small that could be grown and expanded.
That could be one of the underlying reasons we have great difficulty in developing strategic alliances, joint ventures, and partnerships too, right? That could be the underpinnings of that as well.
Yep.
And we have to get beyond that, or we're just not going to get where we need to go. Would you agree with that?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Data is a Black business best friend, do you think?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. Data, what they're doing with it. Yes. What are they doing with it? Yeah.
Well, you see, data, like technology, data is not technology. Okay, but data, like technology, represents an equal playing field. It's a place where you can go carve out a space and really demonstrate a value exchange. And that's what we're really trying to say here, is that every Black person who has natural hair and wants to buy natural hair products, 10 years ago, you couldn't find any anywhere. Now there's at least 6 to 10 online that you can go to and buy. Variety of issues with them, but at least they're there. That's the important thing. But data is what brings reality to bear for anybody, no matter what their situation is. When the data says this, that's truth. Now you can choose to deny that truth or to ignore that truth, but you do have the truth. And for Black businesses, the truth is what's necessary to understand what to do next. See, the question is always what to do next.
Right.
And I always say, follow the data. Ruben and I are launching 4 businesses right now: a cannabis business, a telemedicine business, a commodities business, and a refined petroleum products business right now. And they always say to me, okay, so what's our next step? Because I build the business model and I build the plan. I say, I'm going to do a venture validation. I'm going to follow the data. And the data will tell us what we are to do next, where we are to go, who our customer is, what will they pay, when will they pay, what kind of product are they looking for. The data is a Black company's best friend. Stop working on hunches. Stop working on what you think you know because you got 25 years experience. The data. Follow the data. It will never lead you astray.
Ron, can you do me a favor real quick?
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to jump in because I asked Randall Pinkett this question as well. And I want you, can you just give a definition of data? I think sometimes people, we don't really grasp what we're saying when we say data, and follow the data. But for Black businesses who are literally in the beginning stages of this era of accumulating and capturing data, what is the exact definition that you would give us as entrepreneurs of what data is?
Great question, because we're in the midst of a digital transformation. This is as big as the Industrial Revolution was. This is how big that is. Now, the definition of data is the result of a set of formulas that are assembled to understand a condition. That's all data is. It's a set of formulas that are pulled together to understand a condition. That's the only point of data, is to bring insight and understanding. So what do? We build these things. We either build algorithms or we build formulas that we can plug information into that we need to process through certain stages to give us an insight or a result. So all it is input, throughput, output. Data goes in, it's processed, it produces an output, and that output tells us what we need to know that we could not see with our own eyes, or we could not understand with our experience. That's what data is.
Thank you. Thank you.
Will the Black community support their businesses, support our businesses? Now that's you know, this is a conundrum wrapped up in an enigma.
Nima, yes.
This support of Black businesses.
Okay.
Give me your take on it. I'm going to give you my take on it.
Can I give you my best answer?
Yeah.
Under the umbrella of the Fraser Nation, I believe that can happen. I believe that the component parts are necessary for us to deliver to each other the trust, the confidence, and the support that we need as a community just to live together and just to be together. If we can get that, everything else will fall into place. And I believe that Fraser Nation is a foundational component that helps the percentage that are looking for that and that desire that to have it. Now, the rest of the community they're not awake to that yet, they'll come. But I'm just trying to get the ones who already know we need it, already know we want it, and just need a place. Fraser Nation will give us that opportunity. And there, I guarantee you, we will support Black businesses.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you're a part of a holding company, Fraser Net. A main part of Fraser Nation will help us build the technical platform that is needed. You're all in on it. I mean, with your heart and soul and incredible brain. Simple question: if Black businesses know better, can they do better?
No. You know, there's an old saying that if I know better, I can do better.
Yeah.
Well, it's a cliche, but you can't do better because you know something. You actually have to have the tools. So once you are alert to, oh, I've been doing this wrong, that doesn't mean you can automatically do it right. Now you gotta unlearn what your conditioning has taught you. You gotta learn something new about what's relevant to what you're trying to do. Then you gotta recondition yourself so that it becomes your practice. Then you can do better. And and that is also an input, throughput, output process that we must master, because that is what we must do. And Dr. Cockrell says this all the time, that we have to learn how to get rid of these, to unlearn these behaviors and learn new behaviors, I think is what he says. And that's exactly what has to happen. It is not simply, I know better, I can do better.
Yeah. No, we certainly have, as I like to say, some badass habits. Black people have some very, very bad habits.
Yes.
One is our addiction to instant gratification versus delayed gratification. We got to have it now. We got to look good, feel good. We got to show. We're all that in a baggage. It's just show, though. This is who we are. So we have some bad habits. We have to develop some new habits, which means we have to unpack the architecture of what a bad habit is and put in the architecture for what a new good habit was. It's a wonderful book called The Power of Habit, I always recommend to people. And in that book, they tell the story of Dr. King in the Birmingham March. And the biggest problem he had was undoing the habit of the brothers and sisters living in Birmingham at that time of automatically leaving home and getting on the bus. That was a habit. It was habitual. Despite the fact they had to go to the back of the bus, it was a habit, right? And the minute he said, we're going to shut this down, he had a real problem. He had to undo that habit before that could be successful.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what you're saying, pretty
Yes.
much what I'm saying. And that is so true. Let me I don't want to wear you out here, but this is the kind of stuff that our people need. We don't get enough of this kind of critical thinking, this kind of transparency, this kind of honesty. We need this kind of straight, mature talk. When I introduced you, or introduced that you were coming on Saturday, I mentioned to brothers and sisters all the things that I said to you and said about you up front, but I also said there was something special about Ron, that he was also a Yoruba priest, right? Now, brothers and sisters, we don't have time to unpack what that really is and what that really means. So just sort of like Google it. You've heard some insertions of certain things and spirits that he talked about. But I just think bringing that to the kind of economic and business mind and savviness that you have takes the spirit of that and the goals of that to a good and righteous level. If you want to say anything about that, you can. I don't know how comfortable you are with that, but I just think that's special. I think it's rare that you get the combination of a brother with your kind of brain power and the deep spiritual foundation that a Yoruba priesthood brings. Just give us a 30,000-foot view of that thinking.
Well, like I said, there's no magic bullet. So the philosophy is very simple. It's have good character, develop good character, be of good character. That's it. That's the whole philosophy. Everything in life has to be about developing good character, whatever that means in every sphere of your life. So if you're a womanizer, that means something there. If you are unethical, it means something there. If you are a poor parent, it means something there. Whatever sphere of your life that you're engaged, you must demonstrate good character, is what that philosophy means. Now, from a practical perspective, it's taken me years. I've been a priest now for 18 years. And
you're second generation? You're second generation?
I am. My father was too, and my sister is also.
Yes.
And it still has taken me probably 14 years to get to the point to where my issue of good character is paramount to everything that I do. It's taking me that long because of my conditioning. My conditioning is what brought me to a certain level of success. When I was in the military, I spent 10 years in the Army. I was a captain. I was an airborne range. I did a lot of things, but that was under conditioning, and actually bad conditioning. And I did a lot of other things that I was considered successful, but it was under bad conditioning. It wasn't until I broke that successful, so-called successful conditioning and got real conditioning. See, the African perspective on reality is very different than the European perspective on reality.
Yes.
And when you begin to embrace the African perspective on reality, you say, wait a minute, that's not what I'm about. That's not who I am. So now I got to redefine myself. I got to find out who I am. I got to get this alignment between my heart and my head so that I'm aligned with the universe that I was born into. I was not born into the European universe. I was born into the African universe, and I was indoctrinated into the European universe. So here I am trying to redefine myself and to define out my purpose in life and to understand what it is that I bring to the table that's special. And that's when I began to really understand how little I knew and how much I needed a structure like Fraser Nation to go with my philosophy from Yoruba and from Ifa, and then to be able to actualize that. So how do I act on a daily basis in a way that demonstrates what my purpose, what I understand my purpose now to be? And that's what we all strive for. So in business, I strive to do what? To create. Why? Because that is my nature, is to create. I'm not a herder. I'm not a hunter-gatherer. I'm a creator. And that is my nature, to create. So I am fulfilling my purpose when I create 10 businesses. I can't help myself. People say, how can you be doing 4 businesses at the same time? I don't know how not to do 4 businesses at the same time. That's who I am. I'm being true to who I am. But now I know who I am. And that's my challenge to all people of African descent, is to define who you are, to know who you are, then be true to that. Go and do that. And I guarantee you that with the right tools, the right support environment, and with the right philosophy, you will self-actualize, and you will do it in this life.
I've heard you say most Black businesses need a plan, they need capital, they need experience, they need failing, they need expertise, they need sales experience, and they need a great network.
Yes.
To avoid failure. You've said that. Is that what you feel? Is that what you believe is really necessary?
I believe that's the mechanics of what a person needs. But the first thing they need themselves. Okay, you got to come ready. You got to come packed, prepared. So your values got to be straight. Your priorities got to be straight, right? Your credit and your money's got to be straight. If it's not, get somebody who's got it straight.
Right.
Okay, those things, along with the things that you just listed out, when they come together, what you create is an ecosystem. That's all we're trying to do, is create an ecosystem. That's why partnerships are so important, because it's through partnerships that the ecosystem becomes complete. And it's through that ecosystem that we are able to survive the things that we did not expect. And that's the whole problem with Black businesses. When the unexpected occurs, we have no insurance. We have no backup. We have no plan B or C or D or E, which you got to have. Although you got to have plan A, B, C, D, and E. And we don't know how to go about doing that. We think about it as, oh, that's just too much. It's too big. And it's not. It's just not that complicated. There is nothing more complicated than giving birth. And guess what? Half of us are not prepared to do that. So everything but other than giving birth, we can do. And running a business is a lot like giving birth. It really is. When you're starting a business, it is the equivalent of giving birth. It takes the bone, it takes the marrow from your bone to get that thing up and running sometimes. It takes everything you got, every waking moment, every bit of energy you have to get it up and running. When you're serious about it and when you put things in place, because even with everything in place, it's still a crapshoot. It's still a crapshoot. You got 801 credit score. You got a degree in the area. You got 25 years experience in the area. You got your own financing. You start the business. COVID-19 happens and you have to shut down in 2 weeks after you start the business. What do? You did everything right. But I did everything right. I did everything that I was supposed to do. Yeah, but did you plan for the unexpected? And for us, that should be second nature. Planning for the unexpected. Planning for the things that's outside of our control. Ever since the plantation, we've always had something that was outside of our control.
All right. Ron, this is one for the ages. This is a 5 mic drop podcast. It's absolutely marvelous. We could spend a lot more time talking to you. We wanted to give you a full hour for you. So we've gone overtime, and I think everybody listening tonight was blessed by your insights, by your integrity, by your character, by your maturity. You are an old soul, by your spirit, because I feel your truth through this laptop screen. You are saying it with the passion and the brilliance um, of your deep found beliefs. And I think you communicate that to people. We are very, very, very lucky to have you on this earth with us at this time. And Fraser Net and Fraser Nation are just overjoyed to have you on our team and on our side, because our thinking is in deep alignment. Um, I can't thank you enough. And Brother Bedford, I don't know if we have any questions. I was going to ask you, Brother Bedford, but I decided not to put you on the spot. And that is, what business are you in, Brother Bedford?
I'll answer it in the next
Now,
podcast.
you don't have to answer that now. Right? He stunned me with that for 2 days. Right? Right. But any thoughts, Brother Bedford? Anything you want to add?
Well, the only thing I'll say, George, and I'm going to have a request for yourself and Ron, because a lot of things that you were saying, and it's funny you mentioned the birthing process. So it was like you were planting seeds, and everything you were saying, it was pregnant. So every time you spoke, more questions started coming. So you were birthing questions as you were speaking. So here's my request to you and Dr. Fraser, is that we go into the comments section, because we can't riddle off all of these questions now. And maybe we can go in and just answer the questions. If we can go in and just engage with the people in the comments section, I think keep the conversation going, because I think this conversation was very rich. And so if today and tomorrow, if we could go in and answer these few questions, Ron, that would be awesome if you could do that.
I'd love to.
Great.
So are you saying to Ron to go into the comments?
Just come to the Facebook page, just on George Fraser's fan page, and just answer because the questions are in the comments section. So we
yeah. Okay.
So come in and just answer those questions on the comments page.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Brothers and sisters, you're going to meet Ron at the Power Networking Conference. He will be there live and in living color all 4 days. You can love on him, talk to him, seek advice and counsel. This is something you don't want to miss this opportunity. You want to connect with Ron Williams. You want to know him. You want to love on him. You want to continue to encourage him. He's encouraged by your love and by your questions and the seriousness of those questions in terms of answers that you intend to act on. As you know, every podcast we do something special for 5 people only. My apologies to those each podcast that I don't get back to. You went beyond the 5. You get a special Power Networking Conference offer, a deep discount offer. You know, the offer is, and I don't know if I have to tell you what the Power Networking, but there might be some new people. And there probably are some new people on tonight. But Power Networking is 19 years old and has been named by Forbes magazine as one of the top 5 conferences in America not to be missed. Not one of the top 5 Black conferences, but one of the top 5 of all the conferences put on in this country. That's a very high honor. We're the only Black conference to have been given that recognition and award, and we're appreciative of it. It's October the 14th through the 17th in Houston, Texas. It will be hot in Houston, Texas, October 14th to the 17th. COVID-19 will not be around. We will be able to meet. All right. So put it on your calendar. We have postponed it. It was supposed to be in July, too early. We will need time to heal. not only for the virus to dissipate, but to heal psychologically. We have been so jacked up around fear, and even being within 6 feet of each other, we will need some psychological healing time. So we figure 3 or 4 months after that, we'll be ready maybe to fly, to get on an aluminum tube with 200 people and breathe the same air. But you're probably not going to be able to get on a plane in the 21st century without a face mask, or from now on. Okay, that's just going to be. In fact, that makes a lot of sense. I cannot even tell you how many colds I've caught on planes, right? Not wearing a mask, looking at people wearing a mask, basically Asians, and thinking, why are they wearing a mask? So I think it's a good thing. I think it's going to be one of the good things that comes out of it. So October 14th through the 17th, I think I mentioned the last time, we have, of course, Ron Williams will be there. We have a couple of very special guests as well. Dr. Boyce Watkins will be with us again, and Dr. Julius Garvey. Dr. Julius Garvey, the son of Marcus Garvey. He will get our first international Marcus Mosiah Garvey Award. Dr. Julius Garvey. I'll do an interview with Dr. Julius Garvey. He's 86 years old. I spent 2 weeks with him touring Africa in November. He is a genius, and apples don't fall too far from the tree. You're going to meet and touch the hem of the cloth of Dr. Julius Garvey, Ron Williams, Boyce Watkins, Brother Bedford, and me. I'll even be there. I'll be there. I promise. I'll be there. So the offer is a full registration is $1,500. For an adult. One adult registration is $1,500. One student registration, we want you to bring young people 17 to 25. It's $800 for a student. Together, that's $2,300. We're going to take $1,900 off of that, give you an adult registration and a student registration for $399, which is more than it costs us to feed you at the conference. So for the first 5 people, email me. This is the only way you can get it. You can go on the site and find out everything about the conference, powernetworkingconference.com, but you cannot get this offer. So you have to email me at gfraser@frasernet.com. That's gfraser@frasernet.com. Say I'm in the subject, in the body of the email, your name and cell, your name and cell number at gfraser@frasernet.com. The first 5 people, all emails are timestamped, get this offer. If you don't hear from me personally, because I will call you personally, because I just like talking to people, and I'm stuck in the house, and so I either talk to you or I talk to my wife, a wonderful wife of 47 years. So we've had 47 years of conversation. So we actually really don't need to talk to each other anymore. We just look at each other, and we smile, and we nod, and she gives me a look, and I know exactly what she says. It's a whole conversation with one look, right? So I'm looking to talk with some different people. So email me, gfraser@frasernet.com. I'm in, $399, your name and cell number, and I'll be in touch. Now, we always leave the final moments, final closing thoughts to our guests.
Okay.
So Ron,
yes,
I don't know how you can top anything you said. You're already a 5 mic drop performance tonight. We might have to add an extra mic drop. I don't know, but you're up. You get a couple of minutes to make whatever closing thoughts, closing remarks that you want.
Yes.
And then I'll just sort of give my little final thought for tonight, and we're done.
Okay. Well, Dr. Fraser, I'd like to say that to you, Dr. Fraser, and to Dr. Whitaker, that the experience I had meeting with you, breaking bread with you, and being myself with you, as you know what I'm talking about, was liberating for me, and it was life-changing for me, and it was the start of a new way of fulfilling my vows as a priest, my commitment as a citizen, and my understanding as a Black man. So I thank you and Dr. Whitaker for that, excuse me, the opportunity, and for the hospitality and for the 35 to 40 years of work and building Fraser Net and Fraser Nation, so that folks like me can come in and be at home, come in and find the way to actualize our purpose and the way to fulfill our dream and the way to be, as the Army would say, all that I can be. I feel like that is an opportunity for me personally, in your backyard, in your home, with you and Dr. Whitaker. And I'm so glad to have elders who represent what ancestors are to me. You guys embody that. You guys, that wisdom, the humbleness, the knowledge, the clarity in your thoughts, and the preciseness of your language. Huge value to me. I just want to sop it up. I want to absorb it. I want to understand it. I like I told you in the beginning, I'll carry your bags if I can be around you. So I appreciate the opportunity. I just want to thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you. My closing thoughts. The lazier a man is, the more he plans to do tomorrow. And Satan doesn't care what your spiritual intentions are, as long as they are focused on tomorrow. Tomorrow is usually the busiest day of the year. Do it now. Love you. Good night. Thank you.
Thank you, Dad.
Thank you.